Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am the motorcycle rescuer, but today we are the motorcycle rescuers. So yes, welcome back to the channel. Interesting video today, I think. It's going to be interesting. I've already got a video on how to do the ultra low emissions compliance stuff in regards to the certificate of conformity, which is the first route we should go down. I did tell Gary that we should apply for the certificate first, but Gary's got it in his head that he wants to try this riverbank motorcycle system, which I'd done on my white Bandit, so I know the system inside out. I'm going to keep it very simple. I have kind of mini debates with people all the time about this online. They always seem to know better. They tell you that the bike needs to run lean to pass the emissions. It does not need to run lean. It needs to run rich. The extra fuel lowers the NOx levels. Yes, extra fuel lowers the NOx level. So in a way, you're blagging the system. So what we're going to do is we're going to devise a system today that I think should get this Bandit through on the first run. And it's as simple as this. We're going to find the air filter, which will be under this side or the other side. Gary's going to deal with finding the air filter. We're going to pull the air filter out. Then we're going to look at restricting the air filter. Now, here's the caveat. The bike has to run and ride on the dyno. So you can't restrict it stupidly to the point where it idles but doesn't rev. So you need to get the fine balance. So we've got extra restriction material and we've got basic tapes. So we can, tape up whatever's in there. I don't know if it's a cone, I don't know if it's a flat filter, I don't know what's in here. What we're going to do is we're going to do this here, then we're going to drive to the centre. We're booked in for 12:45. We're going to drive to the centre half an hour before. We're going to park in the petrol station round the corner. Then we're going to do our restriction there because we don't want the bike running like crap on the way. The system at Riverbank is an interesting one. When I went last time, they charged me £175 for the first run. The bike failed on the first run. They then charged me to retune the bike. What they did was they lifted the needles and they retuned the air fuel screws to make it richer. And then they charged me again to run the second dyno on the same day, and it was expensive. The whole cost was about 350 quid. Now, I know that they generally tell people bikes will pass, but I don't believe that's true. I believe you have to do some of the work. And if it's as simple as finding the air filter and restricting it a little bit, and you get past on your first run, £175, that's a result. So that is my aim for today. So that if we have any bikes that we need to get past, restrict the air filter a little, chuck it on the dyno, hope it passes first time, drive home with happy smiles on our faces. A day or two later, it becomes on the system. So it should cost 175 quid. So we'll keep it simple today. We're going to find the air filter. We're going to pull the air filter out. And then we're going to keep any tools we use in a pile because we're taking them with us. So it'll be an Allen key. Exactly. Great. So let's find the air filter on this bike first. So guys, what we figured out is the air filter on this one is under the tank. So we would need to kind of pivot the tank up to get to the air filter, because remember, we're going to be doing this around the corner from the test centre. So let's see. Ugh. Right, well, hang on. What we want to do is, ideally, does it lift? So if you slide it back a little bit, then can you pivot it, or the wire's too tight? Right, so we need to think about when we're there. I think you're still on the clips here, are you? Right, go back. Yeah, you've got to go back a little bit more. Right, there you go. There you go. So what about if you... Can you tip it sideways or something? See, be gentle because of the wires. What can we do with it to get to that filter? So the filter...
Is it that side, this side?
Ah, the filter... Is it these? Oh, man. I know what it is. It's the 2 top bolts. And then you pull it off to the back. Alright, guys, let's shut the camera off. We'll work this out here. It might be... I don't want to restrict it here and do the journey. But we're going to have to see what happens. Okay, let's see. Let's get to this filter. Okay, so you have to put the tank to the side to get to the filter, and you 2 screws on the top of the housing, you pivot it back and you get to your filter. This looks fairly high flow to me, but I could be wrong. It could be standard. This is the point where we need to restrict, okay? This lets air through. We need to restrict the amount of air it lets through. My plan is to put a piece of extra foam on the bottom and sandwich it back in. That should be kind of easily done enough. You could do it on this side as well. Ideally we could do it on both, so we'd have a bit of foam here just slowing down that flow, and we pull it back in here, and then on the other side we could have a bit of foam in the middle, and then we've really restricted the air, haven't we? How have I lost my leg? Legless. So that's kind of our plan. Problem is the bike needs to rev throughout the rev range on the dyno, so it needs to still go up, but we'll be able to test that here by doing the restrictions. I want to over restrict it because I want it to be as low as possible. If the NOx levels are 0.05 or something, then you just know it's going to pass every time. 0.15 is the limit. If we can get it under 0.10, then we'd be running really clean. Don't get me wrong, we're going to be removing these restrictions once we're back. We're only putting them on to pass this test. So, I'll show you roughly what I'm talking about, but it's just going to be a square piece of foam. I've got A4 sheets over the top to restrict the airflow. Here you go, guys. This is what we're looking for. That's flat air filter. They're great for Piaggios because you cut out the same shape and you put in a new air filter. It's much cheaper. You can buy that stuff on rolls. So we're going to cut out 2 squares, sandwich this in, see if it runs and rides, and I think we're set. So let's get this in. So guys, I was just saying to Gary that people are going to think I'm an idiot, but that is what we're doing. We're restricting airflow. So we've got 2 extra pieces and a bit of tape through the middle. We sandwich it all back in, we nip it all back up. We have a bike that's running very rich. That's it. That's what we're doing. Let me chuck this in. We'll see if it even starts, and we'll see if it revs through the rev range. It doesn't need to be in gear. We'll just see if it has quarter full, half full and full full. If it has a version of that, then we're good to go. It just needs to start and pass the test for 20 minutes, you know? That's all it needs to do. Okay, so we've definitely sandwiched the filter and we used both sides. We just shoved it in. We need to fire it. No choke. You don't want to flood your engine at this stage or your spark plugs. Yep. Right, give it kind of 30 seconds to sort itself out. And then it has to do quarter full, half full and full full. If it does all of that, we're good to go. But we don't need to leave until 1:45. It's half an hour max. We did a little bit of bleeding on the front brake. The front brake feels really soft. I think we need new fluid in there, but that's something we can look at later. Okay, let's have a little look. Quarter full. Half full, full full. It almost feels better than it did. That's quite weird. I feel like we've restricted the air a lot. That's properly seated, isn't it? Yeah. I'm surprised, guys. It should have. I'm surprised. I feel like it should have been a bit more boggy. You know, we restricted a lot of air there, I felt like. My concern is that the airbox...
It's not fully...
Yeah, it's not fully seated and we're letting air in. But saying that, it is. I can see it and feel it.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave this to you. It's your money. Do you think that's done and ready? I mean, we can pop it off and we can restrict the airflow a little bit more.
Should we put some sellotape over here just in case?
It's definitely sealed.
Yeah?
Yeah. Plus, we've got all that filter inside anyway.
Yeah, well, it is what it is.
The other thing you can do is we can put a bit of the same filter here around the edge. Or even, we could even shove a cone in there, just to restrict it a tiny bit more. Let me see what we've got. I'm curious. It's just curious for me, guys. Okay, so we're off on this journey. We're booked in for 12:30. When you go, guys, make sure you remember to bring your logbook. They need your logbook. Of course, Gary remembered his logbook. So, yeah. I'm not going to go into the place. I'll be there outside, but I'm not going to have anything to do with it. I'm not sure how people take my videos, if I'm being honest. So I'll sit aside. Gary can book it in and do all that part. All you do is you book it in, you give him the bike, you give him the keys, you pay £175 card or cash, whatever it is, and then you kind of wait outside really. And there's a little cafe area there, so maybe we'll go and sit and have a coffee or something. And you know, half an hour later, 45 minutes later, it's either pass or fail. If it's failed, which will be so annoying, we'll have to get them to retune it. Now, Gary, when they do the dyno run, you can be in there watching. I didn't last time, but you can insist on staying with your bike. Now, I'd be tempted to do that, to make sure on the dyno, you know, there's no silliness. Make sure it's, and you'll see the reading then. But we'll kind of see that when we get there. But we're on our way, guys, and we'll catch you up in half an hour or so when we're there waiting and it's all booked in. So we're here at Riverbank Motorcycles. It was a good ride. I can smell how rich his bike's running, so it's definitely rich at this stage, which is good. That's what we want. He books it in, he pays the first load, he gets the first run. It's as simple as that, really. I expect it to pass. You see, his bike's a 55 plate 2005 Bandit. I expect that to be Euro 3 or Euro 4 compliant anyway. So that bike's going to piss through it. My guess, 0.08, 0.10 will be the NOx levels. That's my guess. But my Bandit, when I put it in, was 3 times. It was 0.45. So I guess you never know. Let's see. Pass?
Yes, sir.
Scraped it. 0.13.
Yeah.
Scraped it. I'm surprised. I bet the certificate of conformity is lower than that anyway. So one run, £175 passed, but if we didn't restrict it, it wouldn't have, because it scraped past. Really annoyingly, they use a dyno run, a dyno jet run, and they don't give you the brake horsepower. That's so annoying, because it's on there, so they should print the brake horsepower as well, but they didn't. But that's not the point. In 2 or 3 days, the bike's going to be ulez compliant. That's great news, guys. That shows you that it can be done. If you've got a bike and the certificate of conformity or of compliance they don't have on, restrict the airflow a bit, book it in, it should pass 175. Right, we'll ride back.